While I was looking through Japanese tournament results, I was very shocked to find that the most popular Gholdengo variation was this Dragapult version. At first, I didn't really understand why we were specifically pairing Dragapult with Gholdengo, but there's a couple things about the Japanese meta that kind of make this work. So, the first off, the nice benefit is that you get the Drakloaks in the middle stages. This gives you additional targets for a team evolution in the early game, and just gives you an extra bit of draw, which Gholdengo is very good at. It is very nice to have extra sources of draw in the deck, because it allows you to piece your combos together. The other kind of notable thing is the prevalence of wall decks inside the Japanese meta. With no more canceling clone, Gholdengo doesn't have a way of getting through cards like Mimikyu or like Cornerstone, and both the Drakloak and the Dragapult offer answers to that, with the Drakloak being able to take down Mimikyus that you might find in Wall, Guardy, or Feraligatr, and Dragapult being able to take out Cornerstone very easily. And so what I've got it done is Americanize the list just a little bit. Since we still have pre-rotation cards, I decided to include a 2-2 split on the Arven Arena and throw a Radiant Greninja, a Lumineon, and a Forest Sealstone into the mix, mostly cutting down on what I believe was a Crispin, a Ciphermaniac, and then one other card somewhere, but I don't recall. But I do find that the list is, workable. It is nice to have a lot of draw options in the deck, so you can never get, like, Iono to Brick stamped out of the game, which is very nice. So, if you guys enjoy the matchers, make sure to like, comment down below, and subscribe. And if you guys comment down below on this video, as well onto the most recent community post I have, I'll be doing a giveaway for a new EX from Paldea Fates. So, if you would like to join that giveaway, make sure to comment on those two posts. I'll leave a link to it in the description, and otherwise, let's get on to the matches. Alrighty, again, start with the first matches here. We do have Gardevoir up, which is not a deck I like fighting. We've had a old veteran player return to our local scene, and they've been playing a lot of Guardy, and that is definitely like the scariest person I have to fight every week, so it's not my favorite matchup. Mostly just because they have so many ways of, coming back into the match and redirecting the prize trade, as well as just like overall playing a lot of disruption between like the Badoos or the the Ionos, stuff like that. So it becomes very hard to stay ahead of this deck. But we'll try. Thankfully, the whole part about them having a lot of hand disruption, whether it's like a bunch of copies of Iono or a fair stamp, we kind of actually blow past this issue entirely because we are able to play because we have the Drakloaks and the Gholdengos that draw ourselves an excessive amount of cards, which is really nice. I've been telling people for a while that if you're looking for a deck to get people started with the game, Gholdengo is one of the best decks to do it, because one, the deck is really fun, and two, it gives you a lot of card draw. I think when players have a lot of cards in their hand, they tend to enjoy it. Like, I know a lot of new players enjoyed New VMAX, even though I completely despised that deck when it came out. I do have to admit, it was very good at getting people to enjoy the game here. I do pull the trigger on this Iono a little bit early, perhaps because if I'm able to use Gholdengo to draw 2 cards and then search for like an Irida afterwards, or Arven or whatever it was, right? I would have the opportunity to grab Energy Search Pro, which I think is pretty high value, and I do have 4 copies of it in my deck. So I think there's a world where you coin bonus first before you Iono, but I mean, good habits say that you want to get your maximum amount of draw after you do your hand shuffle, because if I gold bonus, none of those cards are playable, and then I have to Iono anyways, I kind of lost out on 2 cards that I could potentially play later, because now I want to have those cards in my hand, as opposed to if I coin bonus, as cards are still useless, at least I have them for the following turns, where they can possibly do something. But regardless, we're able to take the first knockout here, which once again is not always like a good thing. Between things like reset stamp and counter catchers and like that, there are so many ways for Gardevoir to get back into the game. That said, they have put down the Fezandipiti, which is one of my prime targets, mostly because if I do that, it's going to make their Ionos worse. Which makes them less likely to do it against me, and it gives me 2 prizes. And you are really prize hungry in all these matches. You really have to take like your advantages where you can get them. Other than that, it does seem like they are just going to go ahead and try to aggressively push up the Scream Tail now. They can't really stay too passive against my board state, especially if I end up building a Dragapult in the late game. The Dragapults with backline, if they ever get fully evolved, they'll be able to possibly take out multiple Pokemon at once, since they have to put damage on their own guys and keep guys low, and all it would take was like a boss or a counter catcher for me to knock it out. So I think that's why they're like really pushing the Scream Tail kill here, even though they don't have a full setup ready, as they don't even have another Kirlia at their disposal currently, which, you know, works with me. I'm perfectly fine with that. And it also means that they're only taking one prize here, so we're still even on the trade, and this is a huge advantage for me. Not only that, but they also Iono me an Energy Search Pro, which is about to go crazy here. Yeah. And they're going to go ahead and move some Lucky Dory damage around. But honestly, this shouldn't be too relevant. Honestly, and if I was them, I'd probably be putting the damage onto the Gholdengo or the Radiant Greninja instead. Because I feel like it's probably better off used in one of those scenarios. But I'm going to go ahead and grab my Fezandipiti. Here, I'd really like to draw a boss. Like, I think drawing a boss here would be stellar for going to be the ability to kill a Fezandipiti, or even a Gardevoir this turn. Killing a Gardevoir would be really mean, because a lot of these lists don't even play a rare candy, and if they do, they only play one. Unfortunately, I do believe I'm a few energy short being able to do that here, so I will have to settle for the middle route of just killing the Fezandipiti, but this is still good, because, like I said, this is going to make their Ionos worse, it's going to make them less likely to do it against me, and then I'm going to be able to hoard so many resources. Because look how much I drew off of just having 2 cards at the start of this turn. Oh, I do believe I could have killed the Guardy, and actually, it was probably a good plan to do that. But I am very set in my ways of trying to do, make sure I don't get Iono'd, so, you know, kind of respect it. And the Gardevoir will always be there, where in the future, they might Turo away the Fezandipiti. And if they Night Stretcher down, then that's just another easy way for me to get knockout. I wouldn't need a whole lot to get a kill there, where I need a little bit more to get the kill on this Gardevoir right here. They actually set in the Gardevoir face first, which is something that shocks me just a little bit, because I figured they wouldn't want to put any damage on this, just because, like, it makes it way easier for me to kill. Even if they attach to Energy Retreat, they'll still have 10 damage on it, and that would allow me to do 300 damage to it very, very easily, which is why I'm like, okay, I don't really know why you're doing this. They're going to go ahead and go back out to the Scream Tail anyways, which is, you know, the part that shocks me the most. And if they end up choosing to kill my Dragapult right here, theory that it would take or lead to like a multi-prize knockout turn, then they're only taking 1 prize themselves, so they're really in a bad spot here, and they're kind of board locked as well, being like forcing themselves to put down the Fezandipiti over and over again, which is really good for me because it means I don't have to worry about like Bursty Balloon, for example, if they are still running that version. And then we're just going to go ahead and charge up the other Gholdengo. I really don't need a whole lot more going on here, so I'm going to go ahead and burst a few of my card draws here. And I'm going to be looking to see if I can kill the Fezandipiti again, as I actually drew into the second boss, which is not something I was entirely expecting to hit. And thankfully on that last coin bonus, we were able to land into it. And alongside the Energy Retrieval in my hand, I am able to grab 6 energies here, which would allow me to knock out the Gardevoir. Now, whether or not I should be bossing up the Gardevoir with the Fez here is also like a weird circumstance, because in my head, I'm like, oh, well, if they lose their ability to set up a Gardevoir, that sucks. But I feel like I should have probably just continued killing the Fez. I would have been able to save out on a few resources that way, and you know, right now is like when they want to prime Iono me, and so if they were able to Iono me again, then that would definitely suck. Nothing more to be said. I killed the Gardevoir, and I don't think it's going to matter, as they're really just too far behind, and any attacker they put up would die to a singular energy anyways, or just die to, like, even Drakloak. So, it's just not looking good for them, as they're going to go ahead and concede. I want to talk about this match, or I want to take the chance during this match to talk about whether I'm going first or second, and I'm just kind of determined that, like, if you're a slow grinding set like this and you have a TM evolution, you almost never want to go second. Which sucks when my opponent unflips Lugia in my face. So yeah, that's definitely a little bit of an issue, as well as his hand not being overall super great. I do have the Buddy Poffin, and I could technically Crispin as well, which would allow me to get a Greninja draw and an attachment on the field. But I'm still not too worried in this matchup, as long as they don't like go into Ogerpon against me, which is why I'm gonna go ahead and do this. And I am tempted to use the Crispin here to try to get a little bit ahead on the field, but ultimately I decide, they have an Archeops in hand, so I'd much rather just go ahead and put that thing on the bottom of the deck and try to limit their ability to use Lugia VSTAR on the following turn. And this Iono seems to do the trick, as they really aren't doing a whole lot here. They're playing a very pitiful Serena here, which isn't going to be great against me since I only play Lumineon, and all I have to do is not choose to put it down. And whether or not, like, the American quote-unquote version is better with my Radiant Greninjas and Lumineons, it's a little bit up for debate. I think the Greninja is definitely a good inclusion, but I don't think you have to go all the way to including the Lumineon, the Forest Sealstone. But the list that I was looking at had Quad Arven and a single team evolution, which felt a little bit wrong to me. I definitely feel like I want my Arven to get extra value, so in which case, if I am playing this deck post-rotation, I would take the chance to include a second team evolution, just so my Arvens have a chance to get me something more. I know you're mostly reliant on like Superior Energy Retrieval and Energy Search Pro, that you would be down to just play a supporter that doesn't really do much for you. But in this case, I feel like it's probably fine to just play the second Evo. And if you don't want to play the second Evo, you can maybe even consider Devo as well, because Devo will give you maybe an easier time into aggressive rare candy decks. Just a thought. Not that you have to do it, but just a consideration. And we are going to hit the wall deck, which is like where I finally come to the conclusion, is like, oh, this is what the Dragapult is for. Because in case you don't know, this deck is decently popular in Japan. If we look at the Fukuoka Japanese results, this was the like deck that made up the majority of the top 16 over there. And then even before that, the wall decks had a pretty high win rate at the ceilings. I think people like dropped the deck and hit it for a little bit just to see like where they could go, but you know, it definitely wasn't gone for very long here. I'm gonna do a Crime Against Humanity and play Lumineon after already playing a supporter this turn. And the whole reason I do this is because I really want to attach a Forest Sealstone down and basically get myself set up for next turn. I'm not really entirely sure what I'm gonna need to get moving here, but having the Forest Sealstone and the supporter of my choice is really going to help me out here. So I could, like, for example, evolve the Gholdengo and use the Ciphermaniac and draw 2 cards, and then go from there. Otherwise, it's just like, yeah, I'm kind of short-handed here. And I don't even remember why I put attaching a Luminous Energy to the Cornerstone, but they're already swinging, which is a little bit absurd to me. It's a very aggressive stance here. And so I'm going to go ahead and go into my Greninja here. And with the play to sack it, I want them to take the knockout here and not feel compelled to do anything else. Especially because I know the deck doesn't really play like a lot of other ways to like interact with my side of the field. If they even play at boss's orders, I'm not even too sure. But I am looking to, you know, set up a Dragapult for the following turn. And so I'm going to go ahead and Gold Bonus, get this Metal Energy, and then go ahead and get my TM Evolution. Thankfully, we actually just draw to another energy, which is really good, because I was thinking about pulling my Forest Sealstone to grab an energy. I do think that there's probably a better way of doing that. Like, I could have just grabbed an Arven from last turn, and then used that to grab Earthen Vessel TM Evo, but I didn't, and so now we're stuck here. Which isn't the worst situation. I have a Forest Sealstone active, I have a Gholdengo, and then I have 2 Dragapults, which can lead me to drawing into either Crispin or the Dragapult, and then I can Forest Sealstone together. So that's really what I'm looking for, especially before they set up these Milotics, which I can get around with my Gholdengo, but it just means I'll be swapping around and wasting energy and resources, which is a bit rough. We also don't have the Fezandipiti in the deck, which kind of sucks here. But we do nail the Crispin, which is exactly the card we need to hit. So I'm going to go ahead and use it now before we end up seeing our energies drawn. And then I'll go ahead, do this, just grab the energy. because the superior energy retrieval doesn't seem extremely important right now. Force Heal, so I would grab the Dragapult, and then I'd be doing a bunch of damage in the cornerstone and taking out the Biolotics before they could get set up, which would just put me in a phenomenal spot for the rest of the game, perhaps winning of the next 2 turns. Anyways, that was like the big use for Dragapult. But honestly, there's other uses for it too. Like, I really like how Dragapult can discourage the use of Duskull and Dusknoir if they try to set it up too late, or they end up popping their own Duskull and Dusknoir on my Drakloak and Dreepies anyways, which removes them from play. And that can make it so a deck like Dragapult, for example, has a harder time going through my Gholdengos, which I think is very, very strong. Here, I'm just going to go ahead and try to go for the max setup. It's kind of unfortunate that I drew into the Radiant Greninja and the Lumineon already, making my Irida a little bit worse. But, you know, I can't really complain about this setup here. If only it was an Arven, which, you know, goes back to the case of you might not even want to play the Lumineon and the Force Heal Stone and just go down the route of having double TM Evo there, because TM Evo here would go crazy at setting my board state. It'll let me have perhaps Dragapult ready on the following turn if I was able to nail another Crispin. But they're going to go ahead and take a knockout here against my Gimmighoul here, and I'm just going to have to send in the Gholdengo here. I really like this set, the Dragapult, but with no rare candies, and they're not evolved yet too, there really isn't much else I can do here, so I'm just going to go ahead and aggressively draw through as much of my deck as possible. And we do pull out the Ultra Ball here, which is going to give me the option to grab a Drakloak here, or grab the Fezandipiti, because I'm a greedy little bastard, and I would much rather just run to the Drakloak afterwards. I mean, I have Ultra Balls in the deck for a reason, right? So it's not too absurd. I do play this Crispin a little bit without thinking, or even like deck searching, which is probably something I should be keeping track of, but I'm making a video and I'm on time crunch, so I'm not going to do that. But, you know, we do find the metal of the fighting, or fire energy, which does mean I can just attach another fire energy to the backline and make sure I have it available for the future. And, you know, a little spoilers ahead, but it will come in clutch here. My opponent is going to send out the Big Moon, which is actually the scary part of the deck, because the Big Moon can take down everything. But Big Moon really hates Dragapult, so my Dragapult is able to attack and able to gust around it, then I'll be in a good spot. But this bastard-ass Sableye that came out of the deck for no reason put me to sleep. And on top of that, you'll see my refusal to like click Arven here, and that's because I really want to boss's orders the Roy move before it gets too far ahead. So right now I'm just digging for my Switch. But if I had done a proper deck search earlier, I would know that my Switch is actually prized, so oops, my bad. Should have played around it better. Regardless, we're just going to go ahead and get through all our draws here, burning the Metal Energy. And I'm thinking about attaching the Psychic Energy, but I don't feel too obligated to play it. And this is where I realize, my Switch is prized. Okay, whatever. We'll just deal with the sleep and keep going. Also go ahead and evolve my Dragapult up. Mostly because I don't feel like with 10 cards in the deck, I really need Directive Recall, whatever the ability is called at the moment. And I'd much rather take the bigger HP pool, so I don't randomly get knocked out from like a Petra or a Baby Moon, for example. And having the bulk is nice. On top of that, I'm sitting on double Night Stretcher in my hand, which will allow me to just grab the Dragapult and the Psychic Energy back, just in case I need to. And then we're still asleep, which is awful, dude. Get me out of this hell. I really don't see any reason to do anything else. There's actually a big consideration here for me to boss up the Brute Bonnet and try to stall it out there. But I figured that if they have a Nest Ball or a way of grabbing like Petra, then it's probably not worth it. And it would just be a waste of a boss when I'd much rather take the opportunity to chase down more 2-prizers when available. And unfortunately, because my boss is prized, or not my boss, my Switch is prized, this Gholdengo is probably going to go down. One cutesy play you could maybe do here is you can actually boss up the Radiant Sneasler, since we have to find 3 knockouts anyways, 2 on the moons, and then 1 anywhere else. It would actually make a little bit of sense to kill the Sneasler here, because this would prevent the Sneasler from killing me with the extra poison damage this turn, and then they'd have to waste a swing into my Gholdengo here. But I go ahead and take down this moon instead, which I also think is a completely valid play, because the Ancient Booster Capsule will prevent me from taking a double knockout on it with Dragapult plus something else. And if they don't put an Ancient Booster Capsule onto the Big Moon in the back, and they frenzy gouging this, then I could go ahead and knock it out very easily. And I'm actually saving the Dragapult up into the active for exactly this bait. I want them to think that they're crippling me so badly by killing this Dragapult here that it is the best optimal line. And so, psychologically, I'm trying to manipulate, like, the realistically, like, silver elo player. Regardless, they're going to do exactly as I said. And between my counter catcher and double Night Stretcher in hand, I have the game in the bag. So, I would like to take this end part of the video to thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, comment down below, and subscribe. If you comment down below in this post, and on my community post I posted this week on Saturday, then you'll be entered into the raffle. Woo! And if you like shiny Pokemon cards, then I got you covered. Regardless, it's been fun. I'll see you guys around. Peace.